Fourth quarter, welcome in Straight Facts Homie. I'm Mason Souza. There's John Lyons. There's Walter Sabina. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Podbean, Spotify. If I'm forgetting one, you'll find it. Google Straight Facts Homie if you want more information, because obviously we'll probably be doing a podcast between now and August, I would hope. But if not, on TCAM TV viewers on Vimeo, follow us there. We will have more content for you coming up until the season starts in August and September. But guys, let's do this. It's the not so early, maybe the right on time 2020 predictions. We got the draft out of the way, all 8 divisions. Let's do it. Who wants to begin? The AFC East. Obviously, the Pats were winners for the I want to say the first time in a long time. Nothing really goes right for the Patriots, right? It's about time they won the division. Followed by the Bills, Jets, and Dolphins. Who's winning? Who's losing that division?
I think the Patriots still get it done. Obviously, everyone's going to look at the Bills and say, oh, this is their division now. They were a game out last year. But, you know, with that much expectation, who knows, they could fall back a bit. And I think the Patriots, even though they don't have Tom Brady, that defense, Bill Belichick will still coach them. They got Gerard Mayo calling the play. I don't even know who's really calling the plays, but Gerard Mayo is a good leader on the sidelines there for that defense. And I think they still take it. Bills finish second again. Jets third, and I think the Dolphins finish at the bottom, but they'll be good in a couple of years. But I wouldn't be surprised to see if the last place team won at least 5 games in that division.
Yeah, I think the key to the whole division is Josh Allen, because the Bills, top to bottom, their roster is right on par with the Patriots in several spots. It's better. It's just, are they going to get good quarterback play? So I think the Patriots are going to win the division, but they're both going to make the playoffs. I actually think the Jets are going to finish last. I think Miami's going to take a step forward next year and win 6 or 7 games, and that's going to be enough for third place.
I'll make this easy for you guys. Bills win the division. Dolphins finish in last yet again. Let's move on to the AFC North. We have the Ravens, Steelers, Browns, and Bengals in that order. Ravens won last year. Bengals finished last. Do you see that remaining the same, or will there be something different in the North?
I think the Ravens still run away. I think this is their division for a while, as long as they got, John Harbaugh on the sidelines, Lamar Jackson as quarterback, and Eric DeCosta up in the office making those draft picks. That this team is going to be solidified as the possibly the best AFC North team for possibly it could be the next 10 years. So everyone's playing for second place right now.
Yeah, I think this is the one division where not much is going to change. Maybe the Browns hopefully will be better, challenge for a playoff spot, but first and last is staying the same.
I think I'm going hot take McGee this segment. This is the year Cleveland Browns win the division. I think the Pittsburgh Steelers finish last. I believe Joe Burrow will be enough to get the Bungles out of last place in the AFC North. So there you go. The Browns for me in the North. Let's go to the South. That's always a curmudgeon, if you will. You have the Texans, the Titans, second place, wild card making it to the AFC Championship game. The Indianapolis Colts were third, followed by the Jaguars.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go.
I think the Colts. I think the Colts win the division, and hot take for me, they're the only team that makes the playoffs. I think the Titans don't get back. I think the Texans also, even though they brought in Brandon Cooks after all their kind of crazy offseason, I think the Colts win the division, and they're the only playoff team there.
Yeah, I agree. The Colts, just a quarterback away last year, had Jacoby Brissett going. Now you put Phillip Rivers, who hopefully looks to start things in a new setting, can get this team over the hump and get them to win the division again. Houston obviously takes a step back, losing the best wide receiver in football. In the Titans, I think they caught fire late last season, but I think they're no better than a 8-8 team tops.
Yeah, I can get down with that, guys. I can see the Colts winning the division, and I think, as I've said probably the past 2 years now, I think this is Bill O'Brien's job on the line, and I think he finally loses it. Not that I want anyone to lose a job, but I want to say the Texans are so bad this year. There's infighting, losing their best wide receiver. Deshaun Watson doesn't like it. The Texans finish last in the South. The AFC West, you got the Chargers, you got the Chiefs. You got 2 other teams that I forgot because I didn't write them down. Help me out. Who else in the Raiders and
Broncos?
The Raiders, Broncos. Yeah.
So obviously the Chiefs.
I'm penciling the Chiefs into at least the divisional round, if not the AFC Championship game. So they run away with it, and I think that I think the Raiders are going to end up finishing last.
Yeah, I agree. It's similar to the AFC North. The Chiefs at 1, everyone else is playing for second place for several years to come. Who finishes second? I think the Denver Broncos put it together. Drew Lock and those wide receivers they got in the draft. They're good. They're young, and they're going to build a young core together out there in Denver.
I agree with you. Chiefs, obviously number one. The battle for last, though, is difficult. Give me the Chargers, because who knows what they're going to do. They lose Melvin Gordon, they lose Phillip Rivers. Not that they're quote unquote winners, but they're very good in the regular season. Keenan Allen there with Tyrod Taylor. I don't know if that's going to work. I do think the Broncos and the Raiders will be a little bit better than what they were last year. So that means the Chargers, I think, take a big dip. That's the AFC. Let's get to the NFC super quick here. We got the Eagles, we got the Cowboys, Giants, and Redskins in the NFC East. Who wants to begin?
I'm going to go with the Dallas Cowboys. I mentioned it earlier in the show. They have all the talent. They need to win 12, 13 games. That's what, the talent shows on paper. And, bottom of the barrel, I think the Washington Redskins not only fighting for bottom of the division, but they'll be fighting for the number 1 pick overall next year.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys win it, and I think the Redskins have a real chance to be the worst team in the NFL next year. I mean, I like Ron Rivera a lot. I like some of what they're building. It's just they're so young in so many key spots, and they got so many holes. I think they're heading in the right direction, but a couple of years away.
This is the one time where I agree with you guys wholeheartedly. Cowboys win. Redskins might be the worst team in the NFL. Totally agree with that. As for the NFC North, the Packers winning the North there. Vikings, the wild card. You got the Bears and the Lions as well. Packers turmoil, will it correlate to on-the-field wins and losses? John, what do you think in the NFC North?
Well, if there was, if I could have a genie grant me 3 NFL wishes, one of them would be the Bears finally get good quarterback play, because I would love to see that defense and some of those skill guys in the playoffs. And I think finally they're going to get it, and the Bears are going to win the division. Whether it's Nick Foles or Mitch Trubisky, I don't know, as a horseshoe in his pocket the whole game, but they are finally going to get good quarterback play. They're going to win it. And I think the Vikings are going to take a step back, and I could see them finishing last. I'm not high. They let a lot of players go. I don't, including Stephon Diggs, Xavier Rhodes, some others. So I think Detroit might take a little bit of a step forward.
Yeah, I was torn between the Packers and the Vikings myself, but you mentioned that the guys they lose, they replace Diggs with Justin Jefferson. So who knows how sort of he transitions to the offensive side of the ball there. But I mean, Green Bay, I'm a huge Packers fan, cheesehead for as long as Aaron Rodgers is in the green and yellow. So I got to go with the Green Bay Packers to win the NFC North.
Oh man, the Vikings being the last team is a hot take, John. But I'm gonna go with they actually do win the division, the Minnesota Vikings. So we're all different in that, and winners. And I'm gonna stay with the Lions as the losers in the North. Again, similar to what's going on with Bill O'Brien, Matt Patricia. Obviously, they get rid of Darius Slay, but they get Akuda with the 3rd overall pick. So maybe status quo there, but the Patriots of the Midwest, it hasn't really worked elsewhere. So I'm going to continue with the Lions to be worst in the North. 2 divisions left. The fun one, in my opinion, we got the New Orleans Saints, the Falcons, the Bucs with Jameis Winston, now Tom Brady, and you got the Carolina Panthers. Walter, you can begin with the NFC South.
Yeah, I think the Seattle Seahawks, they were literally 1 yard away from winning the division last year. And then looking at the 49ers, I think they're going to take a step back. Now that Jimmy Garoppolo's played a full season, it hasn't been a game or 2 or 3 games like one of the year he tore his ACL. You have a full year of film for teams to dissect and look at Jimmy Garoppolo with. And I think that they'll adjust and play him maybe like the Kansas City Chiefs did in the Super Bowl. And I think the 49ers take a step back and Seattle steps up to the plate and wins the NFC West.
Yeah, I think NFC West-wise, Seattle's the best team. And I think, the 49ers are really good. I like them a lot. But not very – I know we saw the Patriots do it a couple of years ago, but very difficult for a team to lose the Super Bowl and come back and, really contend again. Sometimes it takes a couple of years. So I picked Seattle out west with the Cardinals still stuck in last.
Last draft show until August. Can't hold anything back now. Give me the Arizona Cardinals with Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins to be the surprise team of the league in the West. As for the loser, that's tough. Give me usually a team that totally changes their jerseys ends up sucking. So give me the Rams to lose and be in the bottom of the pack in the NFC West. Finally, this is the fun one. The New Orleans Saints, Atlanta Falcons. As I mentioned, Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. We skipped over to the West, but yeah, that's all right. We saved best for last. The NFC South, Saints, Falcons, Bucs, Panthers. To wrap it up, John, who you got in the NFC South?
I think the Bucs win it. I think beyond Brady too, they have a good young roster. They've loaded up. They got a really good offensive tackle in the first round of the draft. The Saints are really good. Don't get me wrong. I think they both make the playoffs, but I think the Bucs win it. I think the Panthers, new coach Matt Rule, trying to rebuild the program. They're going to have a tough year, finish last.
And I'm going to go with the Saints. They've got the chemistry there. They've got, as long as you got Drew Brees and Michael Thomas in that division, I think you're going to win it. You've had guys that have been together for a couple of years now. They've been winning divisions. They're going to win it again. Might I say, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, we see shades of the 2011 Philadelphia Eagles. Everyone giving them credit before they've even played it down on the field. And who knows how much that age catches up to Tom Brady this year. So we'll have to see with that.
Do you think the Bucs are making the playoffs at least, Walter?
I think they could. I could see them, 10-6, 11-5. Definitely some trials and tribulations, but ultimately they can make the playoffs.
In the end, I agree with Walter. Give me the Bucs. Give me this guy, 87 right here, who we didn't mention on the show yet, but traded to the Tampa Bay Bucs. Obviously, we mentioned in podcast form. You can find it there on Straight Facts, homie. Give me the Bucs, and I agree. The Panthers, not that great. First-year coach. I believe they should have went Simmons number 4, but they're trying to look. Actually, I'm sorry, I'm looking at they did go Simmons is what I'm missing. So they're definitely on the up. They replaced Luke Kuechly. So looking good for the Panthers, but the Saints maybe compete with the Falcons as well. But I think the Bucs and Saints are going to be right there. A couple of 14-2, 13-3 teams. There you go. Division picks. Write them down, save them, and we'll glow at some point in the near future. My name is Mason Souza. There's Walter, Sabina, John Lyons. You can find them on Twitter, The Real John Lyons, and on _Wally450. I'm Mason Souza 1 if you are on Twitter. SFH Football is where you can find Straight Facts Homie. Again, if you looking for some football news, find us. Google Straight Facts Only. We are on many, many platforms. Thank you very much for watching and listening. Guys, it was a pleasure, and we'll talk to you next time.